Now, look, pensioners... Yes, that alienated you already. Pensioners are set to get a 10% rise in their pensions. That's more than inflation. It's going to cost the taxpayer about £11 billion more this year. That takes the total annual cost of pensions to £110 billion. That's more than education, defence and the Home Office combined every year. Almost 20% of people in Britain are living on a pension. This is unsustainable. And that's why the triple lock, which guarantees these various forms of rises in pensions, needs to go. It's wrong that people who are out of work should be getting bigger pay rises than people who are working. A quarter of pensioners are millionaires. This is an absurd situation. And no, it's not just that their house is worth a fortune. They've had their disposable income rise twice as fast in the last decade as people who actually turn up to work. They've benefited enormously from house price rises. In fact, loads of people have seen the value of their house increase tenfold compared to when they bought it, if that were 40 or 50 years ago. And then you say to pensioners, all right, you've got £1 million house out of nowhere. Why don't you pay a bit of that for your health care when you need a care home? And they say, no, we won't do that. And then who has to pay the bill? Young people. Now, look, this generation often talks about the wartime spirit, when everyone pitted in together. Well, I tell you what, when young people and people who are turning up to work and fueling this economy are having a cost crunch bigger than anybody in work has seen, then why don't pensioners do their bit, show that wartime spirit and stop taking so much money from the state when they don't?
Benjamin?
Yes?
You do know a lot of pensioners stay in their homes so that in the hope that they can pass them on to their children, to their grandchildren, because they're very aware of the pressures on working people. They're not sat there hoarding their money, counting their money. Well, not the majority anyway, there will be some who are, but the majority of pensioners have worked very hard during their life, and the state pension isn't exactly very generous compared to other countries. So I think it's a bit much to say, do away with it.
Is that an argument to say we should spend more on the state pension?
Well, maybe, for some. I do agree to an extent that it should be means-tested, but again, I'm not sure if that would be too difficult to administer.
On that point, our lovely producer has this lovely graph which shows actually where Britain is, how the UK compares to other countries as far as pensions are concerned. And the UK's on 58%, and then you've got Italy on 52%, France and Germany are on 70%, France on 74%. And you're making out, Benjamin, that every pensioner in this country is sat there like Lord Sodden Sugar, when actually they're sat there like Barbara Bolton from Greater Manchester, who last year froze to death because she was too scared to put her heating on.
And that is exactly why those greedy, wealthy pensioners who are demanding a triple lock when they don't need it should show some compassion. When I say that the triple lock should go, I am not pretending that you should forget about the fifth of pensioners who do live in poverty. What I'm saying is that the quarter who are millionaires demanding a 10% rise, more than our doctors or nurses or teachers get, are taking money from their poorer comrades who are struggling to put the heating on. And I think that is unsustainable. You cannot have a situation where we magic up 110 billion quid. And let me just say one other thing. It is a myth that the money pensioners take out is what they put in. Quite obviously, it's a myth. Inflation and the long time that people spend as pensioners makes that obvious. We pay for pensioners, and there should be a bit more moderate attitude.
But a lot of these pensioners are millionaires on paper because the price of their house has gone up a lot, largely because they've created an economy.
And that's why I can't afford one.
Well, yeah, there are other benefits as well. But I mean, to say that they should be turfed out of their houses to realise that money, those are their homes. You can't throw somebody out of their home. And also, if you hate pensioners so much,
I don't hate pensioners.
Why do you dress like one?
Well, it's rich in that jacket.
Do you know what, Benjamin, when he gets to, the age of a pensioner, whatever the pension age, you will be lapping up all of those freebies. You'll be like, oh, look at this. I'll get my TfL bus pass at 60.
lockstep behind you on this, Benjamin. I think it is absolutely absurd that there are a quarter of pensioners who are millionaires who are taking handouts from the state, essentially.
On paper.
It's socialism for pensioners and capitalism for everyone else. And I don't think it is conservative at all to be spending money that we don't have on people who don't need it.
We basically have a universal basic income for anyone over the age of 66.
It's £8,000 a year.
And hang on,
hang on, can I just say, when you compare what pensioners get to other countries, the way we calculate it is slightly different to them. Our private pensions are often more generous. And the average pensioner has £27,000 a year once you take in their 2 pots of money coming in, right? That's more disposable income than workers in their 20s who don't have any of the financial security of £1 million house.
Well, I've got here that the average pensioner is left clutching 349 quid a week in 2022.
We're not talking about taking away money from those pensioners. We're talking about taking away the state pension from pensioners who are millionaires,
which is
scrap the triple lock.
You're saying to scrap the triple lock. You've had us scrapping the triple lock, you've had us spending more money on wind turbines and solar panels.
A lot of that comes from private investment.
No, it does
yes,
not.
It does.
No, it does not.
Of course it does.
It's taxpayer subsidy.
From private
it's
investment.
The taxpayer.
But
Benjamin, you wouldn't be able, on 359 quid a week, you wouldn't be able to go on all your jollies abroad, would you? So you make out that these pensioners are living the large life when actually they're not. A lot of people are struggling.
But you're taking an example of a pensioner that is not the most common. 20 years ago, pensioner poverty was a huge problem in this country. That's why the triple lock was introduced in 2010-11, right? Because it's managed to eradicate in large part the poverty of that. But they never introduced this, which means that it increases either in line with wages or inflation or 2.5%. That never imagined the crazy scenario we've had in the last couple of years. And it's amazing how with everything else, people quite understandably say, where will you get the money from? And yet 11 billion quid magicked up every year. It's not sustainable.
Why don't we try to focus on these supply-side reforms that might actually make the cost of living cheaper for working people? That might be a nice place to start.